Could a Cam Heyward extension be coming soon? I'm going to answer that question today on Steelers Talk. And also, we got the latest on Najee Harris. There's a report saying the Steelers want to extend Harris, even though they just declined his fifth-year option. Does that make any sense? I'll answer that as well on today's program. And then also, the Pittsburgh Steelers have released an offensive tackle. So does that mean a big signing is on the way? We will discuss that as well. And then finally, make sure you guys stick around because I'm going to let you guys know why Calvin Austin III might have a breakout season in 2024. Before we get into today's loaded edition of Steelers news and rumors right here on Steelers Talk, make sure you comment your mom's name down there in the comments section. It's a day after Mother's Day, so if you didn't call your mom last night, give her some love down there in the comments section right now. And even if you did give her a call, you did go to brunch, whatever, go ahead, throw your mom's name down there and show some love to all the mothers in Steelers Nation. Okay, now let's go into the top story today, which is that a report from Steelers Now's Nick Farabaugh says that Cam Heyward plans to play 3 more seasons in the NFL, and he plans on signing a 2-year extension this offseason. This comes from Farabaugh's X account here. It says Steelers Now exclusive. Cam Heyward is in talks with the Steelers about an extension, and he intends to play for 3 more years. Now, this is absolutely good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion. Now, I have been discussing Cam and his future on the show as if this would be his final year with the black and gold, and even Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said that he expects this to potentially be Cam's last season in the National Football League. But we know Jerry Dulac's wrong all the time. I definitely trust Nick Farabaugh's word more than Dulac's at this point. And you look at Cam's production over the last 4 seasons. Last year, the sack production definitely fell off, but he was dealing with a groin injury throughout the entirety of the 2023 campaign. So if you're saying at home, Cam Heyward stinks now, he's washed, he's getting old, he's no good anymore, we don't want him for another 3 years. I mean, when this guy's healthy, he's one of the more dominant defensive tackles in football, bar none. Just 2 seasons ago, guys, double-digit sacks at 10.5 back in 2022. Forced a fumble, 14 TFLs as well. So I do expect him to get back to that 2022-2021 form next year because he's going to be fully healthy. And even last year, guys, he was the 25th ranked overall defensive tackle in football, according to Pro Football Focus grading. And, I mean, he's doing that on a severely damaged groin that he had to repair surgically over the offseason. So this guy absolutely battled it out last year and was still a top 25 interior defender in football. When he's healthy, you can still make an argument. Captain Cam is still a top 10 interior pass rusher in the league. And you look at his Pro Football Focus grades here throughout his career. Besides last year, I mean, he had 4 straight seasons in a row of top 6 production in terms of Pro Football Focus grading. He's had 1 stellar career. I still think he's one hell of a football player. And if he wants to stick around for another 3 years, I think the Steelers should get something done. And another good thing about Cam wanting to stay is that even though it's not necessarily going to be like cheap, it's not like he's going to sign for like the vet minimum or anything like that. But I do think because Cam is in the portion of his career where he's trying to win Super Bowls and he's trying to finish his career with a ring on his finger, he's going to be willing to take a little bit of a lower contract number, a team-friendly deal to give the Steelers more cap space to go out and get other players, wide receivers, get a quarterback contract done next offseason and in years to come. So there's going to be opportunities here for the Steelers to sign players outside of Cam. So if you're worried about the cap number getting too high because of signing yet another defensive player to a longer-term contract, what I'd say to that is that Cam is probably going to take a more team-friendly deal, which is going to open up some things for the Steelers in terms of their roster and how they can build it moving forward. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will Captain Cam retire with a Super Bowl ring on his finger? If he plays the next 3 years, will the Steelers win a Super Bowl within the next 3 seasons? Give me a yes or give me a no down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. So we mentioned Jerry Dulac earlier in the show, and he had his weekly mailbag or whatever he does, and he reported that Pittsburgh is not dissatisfied with Najee Harris and are currently looking to extend his contract, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers declined Najee's fifth-year option earlier in the offseason, which would have guaranteed he would have been a top 12 paid running back in football, and that would all be guaranteed, by the way, for the 2025 season. Now he doesn't have that on the books, and he is now slated to be an unrestricted free agent heading into the next offseason here. So, I mean, honestly, guys, something isn't adding up here. If the Steelers really felt like they definitely wanted Najee around in the future and they were willing to pretty much have him guaranteed to be on the roster in 2025, they would have picked up his extension. Now, the only reason why this would make sense is that if the Steelers think they can sign Najee Harris to a lower contract cap number for next season in a long-term deal than they would have been able to do if they would have picked up his fifth-year option. But even then, it's like pick up the extra fifth year, get an extension done next offseason, and then work from there. Why would they decline Najee's fifth-year option and then sign him to an extension, especially because they haven't seen what he looks like in Arthur Smith's offense? So you're making quite a bit of a gamble there if you're the Steelers. Let's say they sign him to a 3-4 year extension, right? And then he stinks. Like, what do you do then? You're stuck with him for the next 3 to 4 years on a larger running back contract, and I'm not sure that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. Is I think that the Steelers are open to keeping Najee around long term, but it needs to be at their price tag. They don't want to pay him too much because I think that they want to give Jaylen Warren the bigger contract moving forward, and they want to see the results in 2024. They want to see between Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren which one is more productive in this offense. They want to have that question answered, and right now they don't have that answered because they haven't seen these guys play in this system yet. So I do think the Steelers want to keep their options open. That's why they have declined Najee Harris's fifth-year option. But at the end of the day here, I do think that there is a possibility of a long-term future for Najee here in Pittsburgh. So coming up here, is there a big move coming for Omar Khan and the Pittsburgh Steelers? They just released somebody from their 90-man roster, so could a big move be coming? I'm going to answer that question here in just a second. But first, check out our friends at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100 today. PrizePicks has specials for new and returning users alike for the NBA playoffs. And football season's been over for a while now, guys. We all know that, and it won't be back for a while. But the action on the hardwood is just heating up with this year's NBA title on the line. Right now, there is no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year, so get in on the excitement with our friends at PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. That is, if you know ball. And what's great about PrizePicks right now, guys, is they have an awesome promotion when it comes to Caitlin Clark, who's about to start her WNBA journey. And right now, you can get a super, super easy projection here. 0.5 points. Take the more on Caitlin Clark. If she even makes one free throw, you get that one as part of your PrizePicks projection. In terms of the rest of the NBA projections that I have right now, I'm going to take the Demon, which is a harder to get payout, a harder to get projection, but a higher payout for Josh Giddey at 7.5 points. I think he puts up double digits against the Mavs. And then I'll go with the more on Luka Doncic at 28.5 points. That's quite a whopping there, but I think Luka gets up to 30 in this next game in that series. So the NBA playoffs are now in full force, and you can pick more or less right now to make some money from on the biggest stage in the game. PrizePicks is simple to play. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then watch the winnings roll in. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and get a first-time deposit match of $100 or up to $100 when you use our code CLNS. You can pick more or you can pick less. It's that easy with our friends at PrizePicks. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have released offensive tackle Kellen Diesch. He played on the practice squad for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, and he's somebody that was a mainstay on the practice squad here for a little bit for the Black and Gold. It was reported here by Alan Saunders saying the Steelers have waived offensive tackle Kellen Diesch. I'd imagine they have a reason for creating a spot on the 90-man roster. Stay tuned. So what does this mean? Does this mean the Steelers are going to make a big-time move here, like a Justin Simmons, or make a big trade for a wide receiver? I mean, maybe, but probably not, guys. Now the Steelers have 3 spots left on their 90-man roster. They did add Anthony Averett to their 90-man yesterday. And, you know, what I'll say about this, guys, is I wouldn't get my hopes up too high. I think what this is probably a move for is I think that they probably really want to sign one of their tryout players that they had at rookie minicamp this year, and they wanted the extra roster spot to be able to fill that spot with somebody that impressed them at rookie minicamp. But you never know. It could be Justin Simmons. It could be a wide receiver trade. It could be Stephon Gilmore. I mean, that'd be great. We'll be going a breaking news live show here on Steelers Talk if it happens. But if you want to know probably the more realistic names, you can check out my rookie minicamp winners and losers list we put up on the channel earlier today. If you missed that video, I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. So now let's shift to the wide receiver position here. And what exactly is the plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers at wide receiver here? Because they haven't shown a lot of interest in these free agent wide receivers. The trade market is definitely going to simmer down a little bit here after the conclusion of the NFL draft. So are the Steelers really good with what they have here? And I think the possibility of that is relatively high at this point. And I do think that you could potentially move forward with the current assembled wide receiver room, and you can maybe have some level of expectation of success with this group. Now, just full disclosure here, I do think that the Steelers should try and go out and get a Courtland Sutton, go and get a DK Metcalf, go and get a Deebo Samuel. If one of those guys can be got in a trade, I would 100% pull the trigger on that and kind of solidify and fortify this wide receiver room. But as it stands right now, their true alpha type, everyone knows this, guys, it's going to be George Pickens, all right? He was fantastic last year, especially down the stretch. He's great after the catch. He's an elite ball winner down the boundary. I think that he's coming into this next season poised to prove that he is a legit number 1 wide receiver, and I think his skill set fits perfectly with Russell Wilson. Number 2, I do think the Steelers feel comfortable with Roman Wilson, the 3rd-round rookie receiver out of Michigan, as their true Deontay Johnson replacement. They're working him both outside and inside. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith has said they view him as somebody that can play both inside and out. He played both in Michigan, played mostly in the slot this past year, and that's where he's had most of his major success. But I think his route running acumen, his ability to pluck footballs out of the air with his hands, a really good football player here in Roman Wilson, and he has the skill set to be a really good number 2 option for the Steelers right away, and I do think he has the ability to run block, which is something that Arthur Smith really covets in his on every single receiver that's on the field at any given time. The number 3 option is going to be probably Van Jefferson, who they probably feel is a better version of Allen Robinson, somebody that actually has the speed to win deep down the field. We saw Jefferson be used as a deep threat there with the Los Angeles Rams back when he was with them in their Super Bowl run with Matthew Stafford that first year. He had some pretty nice deep touchdowns. I think that they're expecting him to fill that kind of role, and he's also somebody that can play in the slot and outside. He's a really good run blocker as well, so he fits this Arthur Smith scheme. So he's somebody that I think the Steelers don't really expect a ton of production out of, but they're expecting good run blocking mixed with the occasional deep shot from Van Jefferson with that speed and size combo. And then the number 4 wide receiver, I do think will be Calvin Austin III, and they're going to see him more as a passing down weapon. All right, he doesn't have the size to really be an impact as a run blocker on early downs, and that's really what Arthur Smith is going to want from guys like Pickens and Wilson and Jefferson on those early downs when they have those 2 and 3 wide receiver sets. But, you know, in passing situations, right, 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 10 personnel, 4 receivers. You put Calvin Austin III on the field when the defense pretty much knows that you're going to be passing the football anyway. You're not going to be using him as a run blocker, so you can put him on the field in those situations. And then he, as we all know about Calvin Austin III, he has a game-wrecking speed, man. Legit 4.3 speed, can take the top off of the defense. I mean, he had that one long touchdown against the Raiders last year that Kenny Pickett was able to throw to him. I mean, and that, I think that was a little bit of a spark of what we could see from Calvin Austin III more frequently with a quarterback that actually pushes the ball down the field like Russell Wilson. Kenny Pickett was not that type of quarterback Russell Wilson is, and I think somebody with the level of speed and also after the catch ability that Calvin Austin III brings to the table, I think he could be a true weapon on true passing downs for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he could be a legitimate weapon to use for this offense heading into 2024. So listen, man, when it comes to this wide receiver room, I think that we all kind of want the Steelers to add another bigger name to this group, whether that be DK Metcalf or Deebo Samuel or Cortland Sutton or somebody else that comes up here. Chris Godwin would be another one if Tampa's willing to part ways with him. But listen, man, I think that the Steelers feel like this is an offense that's going to be built around the run game, and so they don't need to have so many big-name wide receivers on big contracts, right? They're cool with having George Pickens and Roman Wilson on rookie contracts for now. They're cool with paying Van Jefferson nothing. They're cool with Calvin Austin III still on his rookie contract being the main weapons on this offense right now. And of course, you still have Pat Freiermuth, who's a legit receiving threat over the middle at the tight end position. So I think the Steelers feel probably pretty good, and they feel like they don't have to necessarily overpay for a wide receiver on the trade market. But don't get it wrong, guys. I'd still love to add one of those names that we've been talking about here on the channel, the Cortland Suttons of the world, the DK Metcalfs of the world. The Steelers can potentially get a good deal for one of those guys done. Absolutely, Omar Khan, pull that trigger and fortify this wide receiver room. Now, before we get to our last topic today, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a Steelers Talk Real one, you click that subscribe button, you watch our videos to the very end, and of course, you click that thumbs up icon every single video because it really does help us out here at the channel. So the final story that I wanted to talk about today is about my guy Russell Wilson here, and the Athletic's Mark Kaboly says that Russell Wilson's name is starting to come up in conversations with his sources in the Steelers building, specifically about how hard this guy works. This is what Kaboly had to say about Wilson. Wilson's impact was clearly evident during rookie minicamp, with Wilson's name being brought up unsolicited on a handful of occasions. The common thread, Wilson's relentless work ethic. One team source said the Steelers haven't seen somebody work as hard as Wilson at his craft since the early days of Antonio Brown, who is notorious for the effort he put into his game to become the best wide receiver in the league for a span of more than 5 years. Wilson has put together throwing sessions with receivers in California, attended every voluntary workout since mid-April, and has been seen at Pirates games, Penguins games, and other events around the city since joining the team. Now listen, man, when it comes to Russell Wilson, you know how much of a fan I was of that move by Omar Khan to get this guy for $1.21 million and let the Denver Broncos pay the tab on his contract this year. I think that's an absolute steal. I think he's got a great deep ball to pair with George Pickens' ability to win deep, Roman Wilson's ability to win deep, Van Jefferson's ability to win deep, and Calvin Austin III's ability to win deep. I think this is going to be a bomb it down the field type of offense, and that's exactly the type of system that fits with what Russell Wilson wants to do as a quarterback, and I think that it's going to be super successful. I think the Steelers are going to win for sure double-digit games, could get up to the 12-13 win territory here, depending on how well he plays in the clutch. I think the defense will be fantastic, which is something he's going to be able to lean on, and I just think that he is the leader that we have been waiting for this Steelers locker room, all right? To have a guy that works this hard, that is this dedicated to his craft and to the game of football is definitely something that's indicative of the Pittsburgh Steelers mantra. The standard is the standard. When it comes to work ethic, when it comes to working your ass off, when it comes to doing everything the right way in terms of getting yourself ready to win a championship, Russell Wilson is the epitome of preparation in the National Football League, and I'm damn happy that he's our quarterback, man. All right, that'll be it for today's show, man. If you made it to the end of today's show, I really do appreciate your Real One status here. So make sure you go down there and identify yourselves right now by typing Real One in all caps down there in the comments if you are a Real One and made it to the end of today's show. My name is Jack Sperry. I'm the host here at Steelers Talk, and I'm also an NFL analyst here at Chat Sports in general. So if you want more NFL or Steelers content from me on social media, you can find me at Jack_Sperry on X or at SpareDog.football on Instagram. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now to join the largest Steelers Talk YouTube channel here on the platform. We got over 52,000 Yinzers currently subscribed, so thank you to everybody already subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you made it to the end of today's video, you obviously enjoyed yourself, so join the over 52,000 strong already subscribed by clicking that subscribe button right now.